severe line of storms is capable of producing a tornado right out here in towards the Gratiot County area. We are seeing some of that rotation just outside of Ithaca and Alma. What we are going to especially keep a very close eye on is this green and yellow combination. So we get some of those outbound winds away from the radar alongside the inbound winds, so closer to the radar. And whenever we see this green and red combination, that is our tornado warning that has been issued for the potential of a tornado. This is radar indicated, so nothing that has been observed just yet, but right around Sumter in towards Newark, outside of Ithaca, Alma. If you live in Ithaca and Alma, make sure you are getting into that lowest interior room as quickly as you can, because these storms are moving very quickly as well. We're likely seeing these storms off to the east at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. Another look at that tornado warning. This is for damaging straight line winds as well, as these storms are moving northeast at about 50 miles per hour. So radar indicated rotation right around Sumter and also just to the north of Newark, outside of Alma and Ithaca, including North Star. Anybody that is in this tornado warning should be seeking shelter immediately. I know we just focused in on where that area of rotation is, but there also potentially is some rotation just to the north of Alma. So we could have several areas in this line that we are watching those rotating storms that have the capability of producing a tornado. We are seeing likely the worst of the conditions just to the south of Gratiot County, but still the area of greatest interest and greatest concern is right outside of Alma and also to the north near the St. Louis area as well in this tornado warning. If you are in towards Wheeler, Lafayette, but especially Alma, Ithaca, right along US 127, I'm going to put a track on this storm and where we do have some of those areas of rotation. We just got a new scan, so likely seeing the worst of the rotation now right over Alma and Ithaca. So if you have not already made it to your storm shelter, that lowest interior room, make sure you're getting as many walls in between you and the outside as possible, just in case of flying debris. We have that rotation ongoing here right around Alma, Ithaca, but especially to the north of Alma now, we are seeing that rotation mainly across US 127 and M46 that we are going to keep a very close eye on and continue to report on as well. There's also a little bit of rotation up here just getting into Midland County. So for those that are in Midland, Saginaw, and Bay counties, we are under a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. If there's any inclination that there is a more significant area of rotation, they would, of course, issue a tornado warning. But as of right now, if you're under that severe thunderstorm warning, just take it as in the tornado possible tag means a tornado could touch down at any point in time. So it's best to get away from those exterior walls, best to get on the lowest ground level, preferably a basement. If you don't have a basement, it's best to get into that interior room, maybe a bathroom, just so you have as many walls in between you in case a tornado is able to spin up along this line and cause some serious damage like we are potentially seeing. And that's why that tornado warning was issued. Here is our line of storms that is quickly advancing across the state of Michigan, has made its way towards US 127, as we are mentioning, between 11 and 12. And by about midnight to 12:30, it will be across Interstate 75, with the rest of mid-Michigan seeing that between about 12:30 and 2. We have a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings to go along with our tornado warnings. You can see a lot of tornado warnings just inside and around Lansing, just outside of Jackson, but also our current tornado warning, which we are highlighting right now for Alma, North Star, Ithaca. Anybody in Gratiot County should be seeking shelter immediately, just so you are putting yourself in the best possible position to stay safe as these storms advance on through. Not seeing a ton of rotation with this cell, but nonetheless, it is imperative that you get into that lowest interior room just in case we do have a brief spin up. Tornadoes can touch down in a minute and lift in another minute, but it can still do a significant amount of damage, especially with how fast these storms are moving right now. So we are going to continue to watch this storm very closely. There have already been the potential of tornadoes on the west side of the state. We're keeping a close eye on any of those reports out there. But our biggest concern and our main concern is keeping those of you safe in any of these warnings, including our severe thunderstorm warnings here across Midland Bay and also Saginaw counties for the tornado possible. Now, there's not a tornado warning necessarily issued right now in your region, but still, nonetheless, best to take those precautions and get into that lowest interior room that you have in your home or wherever you may be. So we are going to continue to watch this storm ready velocity, which gives us an indication of where the worst of the rotation is right now. We do have a new actual tornado warning that has been issued now for Midland, Saginaw, and also Bay City or Bay County. That's with that cell that we talked about a couple minutes ago. So this is right around Greendale and Jasper. You can see those outbound winds. So those are winds going away from the radar, inbound winds coming towards the radar. We have that area of rotation in between Jasper and Greendale. I'll even zoom in a little bit further on this to get maybe a couple roads, but just right around South Coleman Road, in between Greendale and Jasper. If you live out towards St. Elmo, Lee, Olson, right to the south of M20 and approaching M30, going towards Gordonville and Mount Holly, as well as Teeterville and Jasper, you should be in your tornado shelters immediately. Tornado warning, newly issued tornado warning. We have one for Gratiot County, and we also have one for southern Midland, portions of Bay County, and northern Saginaw County for that area of rotation that I was just highlighting right into the western sections of Midland County. This includes Midland, is to the north of Saginaw, but also includes Bay City. This is in effect until 12:45 local time. So several areas of spin that we are watching with this line of strong to severe storms. We have that tornado watch, meaning any storm has the potential of producing a tornado. But of course, we're going to always make sure we're keeping a very close eye on those areas of spin that could potentially put one down in the near future, which is what we are talking about with those two areas in towards Gratiot County, as well as Midland, Saginaw, and Bay County, where we have those two individual tornado warnings. Our worst conditions, the worst of the conditions where we have the most significant rotation, and these areas of rotation, they're a little bit far from our radar, so this could be more aloft, more into the clouds that we're seeing that rotation, but nonetheless, you should be getting into those tornado shelters with those tornado warnings in here to Gratiot, as well as Midland, Bay, and Saginaw counties. Both those tornado warnings are in effect until about 12:15 to 12:45. We are also streaming on our Facebook page and YouTube channels, so if you potentially lose power and you need to keep up to date with us, you can use your phone. Hopefully you're able to connect to maybe some of those cell towers. If your Wi-Fi is down, you can connect to us on YouTube and Facebook and not miss a second of our current track and our current look at some of these storms. That line of storms has been advancing very quickly. A ton of lightning, over about 1,000 strikes of lightning that we are seeing embedded in this line. So dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning is ongoing, which can be just as significantly impactful to your life if you're caught outside in some of these storms. So best thing to do, make sure you are inside, indoors, in a sturdy shelter, getting into that lowest interior room, preferably a basement, getting away from any windows or exterior walls. Let these storms pass before you go upstairs and try and survey if there is any damage that has occurred from these storms as they were moving through your county or community. As we were mentioning, if you are just joining us right now, we have our tornado warnings. One that is in effect until 12:15 local time for Gratiot County, and the other, the newly issued tornado warning for Midland Bay and Saginaw counties. That is until 12:45 local time. Our area of interest for these pockets of rotation, the first one that we're going to talk about is right here in towards the Gratiot County region, just now off to the east of US 127, where we're seeing some of that rotation just to the south of M46, now moving out of US 127, Emerson, pretty much directly overhead. If you live in Lafayette and Englewood, as well as Wheeler, Bethany, Northern Wheeler, you should be in your tornado precautions right now. And then our second area of rotation, now moving out of Greendale, closer to Lee, Olson, and also Jasper. This entire area, we are seeing some embedded rotation in this line of strong to severe storms, and that is what's giving us and prompting the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning. Now, as we jump towards and into the DTW, or the DTX radar, which is the White Lake radar out of Detroit, not seeing really the most significant rotation because we are kind of removed from that radar a little bit further away, so it is kind of getting more so into the clouds. But what we're likely seeing is right here, Emerson. If you are not in your tornado shelters, do so immediately. But if you live in Lafayette, Edgewood, Langport, just to the south of M46, this includes East Lincoln Road, North Wisner Road, East Tyler Road, North Berry Road, as well as Lincoln Road over towards Fenmore Road into the county of Gratiot, M46, North Berry, as well as North McClelland Road. You should be into your tornado shelters right now because we have a significant amount of spin, that rotation going away and towards the radar. We have that ongoing right now, right in the Emerson area, and will quickly make its way in towards Lafayette, Edgewood, and potentially jumping into Saginaw County. If we hold that area of rotation a little bit longer, we could see an additional tornado warning that is issued for the rest of Saginaw County. What we are seeing currently is Saginaw County, most of the county under that severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible tag, with damaging winds being the main threat. But we have that area of rotation here in Midland County ongoing right now along this line towards Lee. I'm going to zoom in to see if I can get some of these roads, give you a little bit better idea of where we're watching the most significant rotation. North 9 Mile Road towards Olson, St. Elmo, as well as including potentially West Kent Road towards West Pine River Road, and even including Pine River Road as well. Gordonville, Lee, St. Elmo's, Dice Corners, as well as Homer in towards Sanford. You should all be heading into your tornado shelters, your tornado precautions. As we have been mentioning, that's the lowest interior room in your house. You should not be going outside to go check out some of these storms as they are making their approach, because we do have those tornado warnings that are in effect. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to our storm ready alerts. You can see multiple counties and communities now under severe thunderstorm warnings and also tornado warnings. So we do have multiple tornado warnings in red, but also now newly issued for Shiawassee and also Genesee counties. We have severe thunderstorm warnings. I'll give you the latest and greatest on those. We do have a considerable tag, which means 70-mile-per-hour winds are possible to go along with a brief spin up that could also occur within this line. If they start to see some more significant rotation, that's what would lead to the issuance of a tornado warning like we are seeing in Midland, Bay, Saginaw, and also Gratiot counties. But as of right now, just a severe thunderstorm warning for those across Interstate 69. Doesn't mean a tornado couldn't happen, but more likely what is going to occur, those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds and that tornado possible, that quick spin up that could occur with any of these storms. So it's best, even if you're not under a tornado warning, just know that these severe thunderstorm warnings have that tornado possible tag. So it's most likely going to be beneficial to you to stay as safe as possible, to go into that lowest interior room, that basement, or potentially a closet that is in the interior of your room, or a bathroom without any windows. If you have one of those half baths in the middle of your home that doesn't have any windows, has a lot of walls in between you and the surrounding area, that would be the most likely spot to keep you as safe as possible as these storms quickly approach. We are seeing some of that rotation right now towards Lee. Mount Halley will eventually make its way towards the Midland area, Tittabawassee, as well as Williams, and possibly within the next half an hour, 45 minutes towards Bay City and Beaver, right along Interstate 75, as well as potentially Saginaw if we do see more of these areas of rotation to go along with very significant winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour, even if you are not seeing a tornado or you don't have that rotation necessarily in your region. Winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour can do some significant damage to trees, power lines, things like that. Now that we have seen those trees and plants fully bloomed, that wind can take those trees down pretty significantly, pretty easily, as opposed to when we had our last significant severe weather event where we didn't have the budding of the trees, we didn't have those leaves on the trees, they didn't catch the wind as much. So now that those trees are pretty much fully bloomed, they catch the wind a little bit more easily, and that could push them down and cause some significant damage in your city, your community, or right there in your neighborhood, right there at your house as well. So if you are not included in a tornado warning, just know the severe thunderstorm warnings are for 60 to 70 mile per hour winds and potentially a brief spin up tornado. Our warnings right now, we'll go back to those. We have the 2 tornado warnings here for Gratiot County as well as Midland, Bay, and Saginaw. Those are our tornado warnings. We also have our severe thunderstorm warnings newly issued up here as well in towards Roscommon as well as Clare counties. We are also seeing in towards Gratiot or Gladwin County, should I say, including Roscommon and potentially getting into Iosco, Ogama, and Aranac counties here within the next hour or so. But if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, just know damaging winds will be the main threat. We could have some large hail, but hail is becoming a lesser threat, a lesser risk for us. It's mainly just these brief spin-up tornadoes that could occur, as well as the damaging winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So very closely watching this activity. If we do see any newly issued tornado warnings, we'll of course get those to you as quickly as we can. But things really started to pick up once those storms made their approach towards US 127 over the last half an hour or so. And now we're in the thick of it. We have these storms likely for the next 2 to 3 hours. It'll be closer to 2, 3 o'clock that we see those moving over Lake Huron and no longer becoming an issue for us. But until that point, make sure you are staying weather aware with us here on our Facebook page, YouTube, or right here live on NBC 25 and Fox 66. We are seeing some rotation right outside of North Wheeler and Wheeler. If you live towards Jonesfield, Iva, Hemlock, M46 to the north, here in northern Saginaw County, as well as Thomas, Dice, Tittabawassee, Ingersoll, Mount Holly, LaPorte, Bullock Creek, as well as Homer, Midland included in this tornado warning. We've got several areas of rotation that we are very concerned with. We've got our inbound winds right here, outbound winds. I'm going to redraw that just to show you what I'm talking about. But we have that rotation that is ongoing right there, as well as another area of rotation coming in and then going back. So whenever we see those reds and those greens, we are seeing those 2 areas of rotation, one that is in towards and eventually going to make it into northern Saginaw County, and one that is moving through central and southern Midland County. If you live in Midland, if you live towards Tittabawassee, Mount Holly, Jonesfield, Hemlock, Thomas, Williams, and anyone along US 10, M47, M30, as well as Interstate 75, eventually just know that there are these brief spin-up tornadoes occurring in this strong line of damaging winds and the potential for some large hail as well. We are not seeing any newly issued tornado warnings, which is a good news. We've also trimmed some of Gratiot County and Midland County out of these tornado warnings. But if you are under a tornado warning, make sure you're getting into that lowest interior room. That's going to keep you safe as we continue to monitor these storms. We'll kind of reiterate what we have already talked about here over the last several minutes. Our tornado warning that has been issued for Midland, Saginaw, and Bay counties, that is until 12:45 local time. We have the possibility, radar indicated, nothing that has been observed, which is good news, but doesn't mean a tornado is not occurring, because a lot of these spin-ups occur when we have a lot of rain. So it's hard to see a tornado, and potentially you won't even know it's happening until it's right overhead, as you could quickly get a burst of wind as that tornado pushes on in. If it is a small one and then it moves out, you just have some damage that is left over from those wicked winds that are occurring within this potentially tornadic thunderstorm. If you are outside of any of these tornado warnings, just know, and I'm going to zoom this out just to show you where we have severe thunderstorm warnings for the potential of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds extending from Roscommon, Clare, Gladwin counties. That also includes Isabella, Midland, portions of Bay, if you're not under that tornado warning, as well as Saginaw, Shiawassee, and Genesee counties, all under those severe thunderstorm warnings for 60 to 70 mile per hour winds as these storms are quickly moving on in. They moved from the lakeshore of Lake Michigan all the way into our area within the last couple of hours. Anything out ahead of these storms, which you can see some of these storms that are developing here across Livingston, Oakland, Genesee, Shiawassee, and eventually going to move into Lapeer. These could also have some pretty significant winds, but the winds are most likely occurring in this secondary band. So the one that is closer to Lansing, Mason, Perry, now on its approach towards Owasso, Chesaning, Jonesfield, as well as up towards Midland, eventually getting into Saginaw. We are going to see these storms quickly moving on in and potentially causing some damage with those winds and that isolated tornado potential. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a track on these storms before we get back into our tornado warning. These storms moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. And so I'm going to make sure that we have an idea of when these storms are going to move on in. So over the next hour, Flint, we're already here at our studio here in Flint, hearing the thunder, hearing the rain. So within the next 5 to 10 minutes, you'll have some heavier thunderstorms, but the winds will actually come through later on. It's with that second area of shower and thunderstorm activity closer to Lansing. This is just some residual thunderstorm activity that is developing because of some of the outflow winds. But we are seeing likely over the next hour or two, those that are not seeing the winds just yet, you will be included in these thunderstorms and potentially some severe thunderstorm warnings as well very, very soon. If you live in Bay City, it's about 12:14 for the storms, Davison 12:17, and about 12:30 for those of you in Lapeer. But as we were mentioning, I'm going to put a track on these cells back in here because that's where the worst of the winds are with these storms. So over towards Midland, you'll get this first thunderstorm right now, which could still potentially have some small hail and some wind, but the worst of the winds won't happen until about 12:30. So it's that second line that is behind this first wave of thunderstorm activity that we're hearing right now, and we'll start to get some of those heavier showers and maybe some wind and hail along with it. That's going to be out ahead of the worst of the winds. We now have the entire county of Saginaw under a tornado warning. We're going to give you the latest on that. That is until 1 a.m., and it's a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Marion Springs or 11 miles east of Ithaca, moving at about 50 miles per hour off to the east. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go take a look at where that velocity is showing us signs of rotation. Potentially more significant up here into northern Saginaw and also southern and central Midland counties. So again, if you're in Midland, Tittabawassee, Thomas, this includes Saginaw now, Kochville, into Auburn, Bay City, Merritt, and Bloomfield, get into your tornado shelters, your tornado precautions, lowest interior rooms, as we are going to see these storms moving off to the east at about 50 miles per hour. We have a couple areas of rotation, one here right now, just outside of Midland, one that is moving through Mount Halley as well, that we are seeing that rotation, and potentially a third that is happening into northern and central Saginaw County. So you can see several areas of embedded rotation along this line that is going to continue to move off to the east at about 50 miles per hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a track, just a more localized track, on these storms, go over the next half an hour as it is moving at about 50 miles per hour. And I'm going to make sure that I had that speed correct. So we are going to see these storms in Homer right now, Midland at 12:05. You're running out of time to get into those tornado shelter, tornado precautions. Thomas, 12:11. Saginaw at 12:21. Bay City by about 12:25 as these storms are really starting to race as they continue to push on in from the west. We are also seeing a very significant push of wind that is occurring out of these storms now moving into Shiawassee County. So Scioto, Perry, Owasso, Durand, Burns, as well as Rush, you should be bracing yourself for potentially some winds upwards of 70 miles per hour, as well as everyone that is in Genesee County, northern Lapeer, northern Oakland. Prepare yourself for some pretty significant winds that are coming out of these cells and the potential of a brief spin of tornado, as that has been occurring with this line as well. I'm going to take a look at our Facebook page just to see if I can answer any comments. With multiple tornado warnings in effect, it's a little bit hard to kind of jump back and forth, but just know if you are under a tornado warning, you should be seeking shelter immediately and getting into that lowest interior room, preferably a basement. But if you do not have a basement in your home, make sure you're getting into one of those interior rooms, such as a bathroom. If you have a half bath, let's say in the middle of your home, and you have 4 solid walls in between you and the outside, and you don't have any windows on those walls, that's the best case scenario. Bring something to cover your head just in case of flying debris. We don't want any of this damage to potentially impact you as we see these storms continuing to push on in towards, especially Midland Bay, Saginaw counties, where we have our tornado warnings in effect, but also our severe thunderstorm warnings further to the south across I-69 for damaging winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. I'm going to give you the lay of the land once again with our warnings that are in effect currently. We have our severe thunderstorm warnings up through Gladwin and also Roscommon counties and portions of northern Midland, northern Bay. Anywhere you see red, that's our tornado warnings for parts, central, southern Midland. This includes the city of Midland, the city of Saginaw, and the city of Bay City. So all 3 of those cities under tornado warnings. We have severe thunderstorm warnings for all of Shiawassee and Genesee counties, and now a newly issued tornado warning for Livingston County. So if you live here towards Deerfield Center, Tyrone in our area, but also Fenton, you know, you're not in that tornado warning necessarily right now, but you are close. So I would get into those tornado precautions just in case that area of rotation potentially spins up further to the north, and you're not necessarily in a tornado warning until it is issued for those of you in southern Genesee County. So we have multiple tornado warnings in effect right now, mainly in through portions of Gratiot, Saginaw, Bay, and also Midland counties, and then a newly issued tornado warning here for Livingston County. This includes all of Livingston County until 12:45. There could be some large hail damaging winds to go along with these brief spin-up tornadoes. So any tornado warnings, if you are under a tornado warning, make sure you are getting into those lowest interior rooms, preferably a basement, as we've been mentioning. But if you don't have a basement, get into that interior room, maybe even a closet. If you don't have any windows on that room necessarily, just put as many walls in between you and the outdoors, the outside as possible to keep yourself safe, potentially from flying debris, or if these tornadoes take down any tree limbs or trees or power lines, you don't want to be near any of those exterior walls or on the second level closer to the rooftop. You want to make sure you have as many walls in between you and the outdoors as possible. So a lot happening with these storms. It started off very quickly right around the 11:15, 11:30 time frame. Now that we are past midnight, we are going to continue to watch these storms, these warnings going until 12:45 to 1 o'clock. Doesn't mean they will be in effect that long, but we are going to stay with them until they are allowed to expire. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to our Livingston County storm just to see where they might be seeing some of that rotation. What likely is sparking this tornado warning are a couple areas of rotation, one that's not in Livingston just yet. This is for southern Livingston, but the one we're more concerned with, you can see a little bit of a spin. It kind of looks like an S right in through here, and that's what likely is occurring is we're getting some inbound winds right here, outbound winds pushing into it. So we're seeing that rotation that is kind of working its way just like that. So we've got some of that rotation now approaching the Conway, Handy area, Fleming, Cohocton, and Nicholson. you should be getting into your tornado precautions right now immediately. This storm is moving off to the east at about 50 miles per hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a track on this one. If you are not seeing your county just yet, we'll go off to the north into Midland and Saginaw here momentarily. But Conway, within the next couple of minutes, you should be in your tornado precautions. Oak Grove by 12:17, Deerfield Center by 12:22, and Parcelville by 12:26. Make sure you are in those tornado precautions right now as we have several tornado warnings in place. Now, as we head up into Saginaw County, and again, I'm looking at multiple different things to see if we are seeing any areas of rotation or the potential of some significant damaging wind. Just making sure we are checking in on that, but the most significant wind that is likely occurring is with this southern storm in through Livingston, Shiawassee, and also Genesee counties, where we could see those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. But to talk about our tornado warning here in Saginaw County, you can see multiple areas of rotation, one just outside of St. Charles. There's a little bit of rotation right here just to the north of Chaplin. And then we actually have more of those areas of rotation that are happening further to the north here in Midland County. Just including Midland now, we have that rotation, that inbound, outbound, and also inbound, outbound with those rotation spots that are here towards US 10 into southern Midland, as well as northern Saginaw County and southern Bay County. You should be getting into your tornado precautions. We'll put a track on this one as well. Just to give you an idea of how long you have to get into those tornado precautions. Midland, 12:06, so pretty much right on top of you right now. Tittabawassee, 12:12. Monitor by 12:22. Bay City by 12:26. And Hampton by 12:31. We just did get a new scan, so Tittabawassee, you should already be in your tornado precautions, but just know that area of rotation is pretty much right overhead right now. We're not seeing any significant rotation with these storms out ahead of this line. So in through Shiawassee, well, actually, we did just get a new scan here as well. So right around the Flushing area, right around Pearson Road, we're seeing some inbound, outbound, some slight rotation. So it is potentially going to maybe spin up a tornado. We will see. We're going to have to watch this very closely, not under a tornado warning right now. But would not be surprised if we continue to see new areas of tornado warnings that are issued with these storms as they continue to show signs of rotation, including that tornado warning in Saginaw County, as well as Midland Bay counties. And then we have our tornado warning in through Livingston County as well, with severe thunderstorm warnings in effect for Shiawassee and Genesee counties at this point in time. Here's our line of thunderstorms. It's a very quick moving one, so it will likely be out of the area by about 2 a.m. It is quickly advancing now at about 50 to 55 miles per hour, so you will not have a whole lot of time to get into your shelter, get into that lowest interior room if you are under a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning. You want to do so immediately. Flint, we're seeing the first round of thunderstorms, non-severe, but could produce maybe some small hail. It's this second round that is quickly closing in on these storms out ahead of it, right around Owasso, just moved through Owasso with some very strong winds, but is now approaching the western suburbs of Genesee County and eastern suburbs of Shiawassee County. We have several ongoing thunderstorms here into Saginaw County and Midland County with embedded areas of rotation. So it's a little bit hard to pick out a lot of these cells because they can quickly spin up, die on out, and you may not even see it on radar because our scans happen every couple minutes. So if you are under a tornado warning, even though we're not really seeing anything significant when it comes to the worst rotation, there are several embedded areas of rotation right here just to the north of Tittabawassee, right into the city of Tittabawassee with this southern or this northern cell in southern Midland, northern Saginaw, and also southern Bay County. If you're in Bay City, Kochville, Merritt, get into those lowest interior rooms, as we do have several areas of rotation ongoing with these cells and with these lines of storms. As well as along this line, you can see that we have some lighter areas of green to go along with the reds, which could potentially lead to some of those quick spin-up tornadoes as these lines of storms quickly envelop the entire area. So just be aware of that even if you're not under a tornado warning, you could still have a brief spin-up tornado with this line of very significant thunderstorms. And we're seeing, and I'm going to take a look at our velocity. You can see some of these winds. I'll just have to remove our warnings on this right now. We are seeing some of those winds clocking in at about 60 to 70 miles per hour with this cell. You can see just that one point that I touched on in northern Livingston County of a 62 mile per hour wind gust. And this is getting pretty close to the radar. So this is likely going to bring those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds across the Livingston, Oakland, Shiawassee, Genesee region, with our embedded potential spin-up tornadoes happening here into Saginaw, Midland, and Bay counties. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to jump off to the north, just so I'm not forgetting you guys north of US 10. If you're in northern Midland, northern Bay City as well, northern Bay County, should I say, as well as Gladwin County and Roscommon counties, and also Aranac, Iosco, and Ogama counties, just know that your risk is mainly wind, 60 mile per hour winds here over the next hour to an hour and a half. But we have those several tornado warnings, that one including all of Saginaw County, most of Bay County, and now a sliver, our eastern sections of Midland County. That includes Saginaw, Bay City, and Midland. Our entire Tri-City area is under that tornado warning. So make sure you are staying safe, getting into that lowest interior room, those tornado precautions as quickly as you can. As we go further down to the south, we have our tornado warning here into Livingston County. Trying to pick out some of these areas of rotation, but pretty much what we are seeing right now with any of these areas of rotation, it's just going to be one of those quick spin-up tornadoes. So you may not see it necessarily all that easily on our radar, on our velocity, but you can see that there are several areas of green and red coming together, so that could quickly spin things up, as well as down here into Shiawassee, Genesee counties. You may not be under tornado warning right now, but you do have a severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag to go along with the potential of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. And then jumping down into Livingston County, we have that area of spin potential rotation right here, just move through Conway, Cohocton, Deerfield Center, Oak Grove, eventually getting out towards Parshallville, into Haller's Corner, Tyrone, and maybe even as far north as Argentine, Linden, and Fenton. You should be getting into those tornado precautions immediately. Now, all of these tornado warnings are radar-based, so they're seeing rotation on the radar, that they are issuing the tornado warnings accordingly because of these brief, quick spin-up tornadoes that could absolutely occur. It could occur in a 5-minute time frame, so we may not even see it necessarily on radar besides one scan, and then it quickly goes back into the clouds, and we have damage as a result of it. So we want to make sure those that are ahead of these storms are seeking shelter. So if you are under a tornado warning, make sure you are getting into that lowest interior room. But even if you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, best thing to do is make sure you are underground, preferably in a basement, but also getting into that lowest interior room as well. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on these embedded area of rotation. If you're not included in a tornado warning, just know that these rotating storms could still put down a brief or isolated tornado. That includes all of you in Genesee and Shiawassee counties, because pretty much everyone else is under a tornado warning. Midland, Bay, Saginaw, as well as down into Livingston County. Those that are in the thumb, so that includes Lapeer, Sanilac, Tuscola, as well as Huron counties. You're not under any warnings just yet, but you're still under that watch here over the next several hours. These storms will likely move through here over the next hour to an hour and a half. By 2 a.m., likely going to be over Lake Huron, as they have sped up pretty significantly and pretty quickly. We are seeing potentially some rotation up here towards the Buteman area, as well as Clement M30 near Hockaday, as well as Bowmanville. You are not under a tornado warning, but just know a brief spin-up tornado could happen in that severe thunderstorm warning as well. So right here, now getting into Auburn, Kochville, just outside of Bay City. If you're in Bay City, you haven't gone to your tornado precautions, do so immediately. You only have a couple more minutes before that area of rotation is pretty much on top of you. And the same thing goes for Saginaw, Spalding, Albee, Birch Run, Frankenmuth, Blumfield, as well as Thomas. We have these areas of stronger winds that can quickly spin up these tornadoes. One area of rotation just outside of St. Charles, so near the Spalding area, Albee, you guys should be in your tornado precautions, as well as anybody that is in this tornado warning right now. For those that are in Genesee County, Mount Morris, Davison, Genesee, into Flint, Flushing, Clayton, Vienna, as well as down here into Grand Blanc, this first round of storms that we are going through right now is not the main issue. It's the secondary storms that are now moving into the western counties and western communities of Genesee County that we are going to see the strongest winds and the potential of a few rotating cells ongoing as well. We're going to show you the latest storm ready alerts. We did see that tornado warning shaved a little bit as the worst of the rotation now moving closer and closer to Heartland, as well as Tyrone, and also including Deerfield Center, Oak Grove, Parshallville, Haller's Corner, along US 23. If you are not under these tornado warnings, still best to seek shelter in that lowest interior room, let these storms pass in case any of the damaging wind potentially brings down some power lines or some trees around your home. Midland, Bay, Saginaw counties still under our tornado warnings. These tornado warnings that are in effect are until 12:45 to 1 a.m. local time. You can see our southern one till 1 a.m. And our northern tornado warning until 12:45. But until those are allowed to expire, best to stay in your tornado shelter, just because we have had multiple spin-up tornadoes occurring along this line, at least what we are seeing on our velocity data. Now, none of these tornado warnings are for tornadoes that have been observed, but the possibility is still there for quick spin-up tornadoes to occur within this line as it continues to advance from west to east. So that's why we do have our tornado warnings. The worst and most significant winds. So what I'm going to show you right now, especially in our southern counties. So you can see a lot of light green here in northern Livingston, southern Shiawassee, and eventually going to get into southern Genesee, as well as central Shiawassee, and eventually going to move across Interstate 69, Interstate 75. These are where we have our corridors of 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. They are winds that are pushing pretty much into the storm, and that's what's leading to those higher end wind gust potentials of 60 to 70 miles per hour, as well as the potential of those brief spin-up tornadoes. So anyone along this line, if you are under a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, best thing you can do for your safety is getting into that lowest interior room, letting the storm pass, and making sure you seek help if you do have any damage that occurs on your property. I know it's going to be a busy night, likely for law enforcement, if we do have any of this damage occurring from these straight line winds and also these embedded areas of rotation. What we're seeing right now, and I'm going to give you an idea of some of the winds that our radar is measuring currently in these cells and in these storms once I'm able to get those warnings off. Once we get into Shiawassee County, southern Shiawassee, 61 mile per hour wind that is reporting, 54 as well as 58 potentially. So 50 to 60 mile per hour winds look likely. It's that potential advancement up to 70 miles per hour, or even the brief spin-up tornado that could cause even more significant winds to occur that we are very concerned with right now with any of these warnings that are in place. So still under that tornado warning. If you're in Midland County, you have now been taken out of that tornado warning. Now just includes Bay County as well as Saginaw County, and it also got shaved off a little bit. So for those that are in portions of western and central Saginaw County, including St. Charles, Chesaning, Jonesfield, you are no longer included in this tornado warning, but Bay City, Saginaw, Birch Run, including Frankenmuth, you are under this tornado warning until the top of the hour. Those that are in Shiawassee and Genesee counties under the severe thunderstorm warning for 70-mile-per-hour winds and the potential of a brief spin-up tornado. And then we have our tornado warning here in northern Livingston County. We'll see if it gets pushed into Oakland County. What likely is going to occur is we just have those severe thunderstorm warnings with the tornado possible tag to continue that mention and that watch for those embedded areas of rotation to still potentially occur as these lines of showers and storms are moving on in to our communities and counties as well as our cities right now. All right, everyone, if you're still staying tuned to our severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings, we have that ongoing tornado warning here into southern Bay County, as well as portions of central and eastern Saginaw County. We have our severe thunderstorm warnings for Shiawassee, Genesee counties, as well as our tornado warning here in Livingston County. Going to continue to monitor these areas of embedded rotation, but also very strong winds that are now surging out of this storm. We're also maybe seeing a little bit of rotation here right around Mundy and Lake Fenton. But overall, what likely is occurring is this is becoming more of a damaging wind threat with some of these isolated areas of rotation. So even if you're not under a tornado warning, less necessarily, right around Montrose, we have a couple areas of rotation that we are going to very much continue to watch. Even though you are not under a tornado warning, just know that a brief spin-up tornado could occur, as well as very strong winds coming out of these storms. 60 to 70 miles per hour is a possibility as they continue along their path from west to east. Likely going to be out of the area by about 2 a.m. That's when we'll be able to give the all clear. But until these tornado warnings are allowed to expire and drop off from our storm ready alerts, we're going to stay on NBC 25 and Fox 66 until that occurs, and then stay live on our Facebook and YouTube channels and pages to continue to monitor these storms as well. Right here at our studio right now, I am hearing the very strong winds. So if you live in Genesee County, just know 60 to 70 mile per hour winds are coming in for you. That includes Flint, Mundy Township. Livingston is under that tornado warning and severe thunderstorm warning. Very strong winds that are coming out of these cells. We can hear it right now on our rooftop. Those winds are howling and are pushing those heavier rain showers on in as well. So very significant stuff that is happening with this line, even though it is in a weakening phase and a weakening trend as we kind of associated and assumed would happen. We are going to continue to keep an eye on any of these additional warnings for you guys as they continue to move on in and move into some of our counties and communities here through Genesee. You can see maybe even an area of embedded rotation right around Interstate 475, 75, Flushing Road towards DuPont Street. Any of these cells have the potential of a brief spin-up tornado. So even if you're not under a tornado warning, just know that you have the potential of a brief tornado. So I don't want to let warnings kind of dictate what you are going to do to keep yourself safe. If you're under a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, I would get into your tornado precautions, your tornado shelter, because of these areas of embedded rotation that can quickly spin up a tornado, can quickly cause some damage to our area, homes, communities, businesses, things like that, as they come down in a brief stint for a couple minutes, lift back up into the clouds, and our radar may not even see it necessarily happening. So even if you're not under a tornado warning necessarily, we just got 2 new counties issued under those severe thunderstorm warnings for 60 mile per hour winds, tornadoes possible. So even if you're not under that tornado warning, it's best to take those tornado precautions, get into that tornado shelter, which is that in lowest interior room, just to make sure you're as safe as possible. We always want to reiterate that your safety is our main concern and main goal, to keep you safe, keep you out of harm's way. So we're always going to want to get you into that best place to keep yourself safe, which is that lowest interior room. If you have a basement, that's preferred. You know, you don't want to go near any of those egress windows in your basement if that's what you have, but you want to stay away from any of the exterior walls in your basement. But if you don't have a basement, get into that lowest interior room. If you have a half bath or a closet that is in the middle of your home, it's best to get away from any of those exterior walls as these strong winds come through, and we have the potential of these rotating storms as well. Here is that radar. You can see this line of storms that is quickly advancing through the area. It is meeting up with our thunderstorms that developed out ahead of it, which may give a brief instance of some rotation. So that's where we could see a quick spin-up tornado as well, as these storms kind of collide on one another. One's moving in a northerly direction, one's moving off to the east. So that motion could lead to areas of rotation, but you can see these storms quickly advancing through. And that's why we are very concerned with the damaging wind threat and also that isolated tornado potential as well. Fenton, you just saw the worst of the winds come through, including Lake Fenton, Grand Blanc. You are likely going to see the worst of the winds here in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Mundy Township, you are out of the worst of the winds right now. Flint towards Belsay, as well as Davison, Beecher, Mount Morris, Genesee, Richfield. Get ready for some significant winds of 50 to 60 miles per hour to come on through, as well as potentially some embedded rotation. You can see right around Flushing Road, DuPont Street, we were watching that area of rotation. Potentially a quick spin-up tornado could have occurred. That's why we always say, even if you're not under a tornado warning, best to get into that tornado precaution, because there is the possibility with this line of thunderstorms for quick spin-up tornadoes to occur, and that could lead to some significant damage in your area. Ingham County is clear right now. If you're hearing tornado sirens, best to get into that tornado precaution. Listen to those tornado sirens immediately. As we get up towards Tittabawassee, Midland, you guys are out of the worst of the conditions, but now towards Kochville, Bay City, Merritt, you guys need to get into those tornado precautions. Saginaw, the worst of the winds have now cleared your area, but Birch Run, Frankenmuth, over towards Denmark, Millington, Merritt as well. You guys within the next 10 to 20 minutes will be seeing some of the worst winds and potentially that isolated brief tornado spinning up as well. So Anybody that is in a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning, best to get into those tornado precautions, that lowest interior room. Keep yourself safe. Keep yourself away from any of those exterior walls or windows. Kimberly, even if you haven't heard the sirens in Flushing, you're not under a tornado warning. Some communities, some districts or counties only put those tornado sirens on if there is a tornado warning. Now, some communities put it on for a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning just to make sure you're getting inside. But even if you're not hearing the tornado sirens, it's best if you are under any of those severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, that you get into that lowest exterior room. And just about 9 minutes ago, we got a report of a funnel cloud that was near St. Charles in Saginaw County. So it's this area right around Birch Run that we could potentially be seeing that rotation. Now that we have a new scan, we're going to go up and down this line. So we're going to start into Bay County. You can see some of those areas of rotation, the reds and the greens coming together. That is that spin in the area. So anyone along Interstate 75, US 10, M13, M15, as well as M247 should be getting into your tornado precautions, your tornado shelters. We have some of those rotating cells happening right here towards Indiantown, and as well just to the north of Bloomfield, Merritt, and Denmark. So anyone in northern Saginaw County should be getting into your tornado precautions, as well as this area. This is a little bit of an interesting area of rotation right in between Birch Run and Frankenmuth. So if you're near M83, just outside and just to the east of Interstate 75, rotating cell right there. Get into those tornado precautions immediately. If you're in Arbella, I know you're not under a tornado warning, but you are under a severe thunderstorm warning with the tornado possible tag. So it's best to get into that shelter as quickly as you can. We've got an area of rotation moving just out of Holly towards the Groveland area. These storms are quickly advancing through. So some of the strongest winds happening right on the edge of these cells. Genesee seeing some of the worst of the winds right now. Davison, Grand Blanc seeing some wicked winds and some very heavy rain. Hadley over towards Metamora, Lapeer, Oregon, as well as Columbiaville, Marathon here in Lapeer County. Just know some pretty strong winds, and also these areas of rotation will be coming through here within the next half an hour or so. Still seeing this tornado warning until the top of the hour. We do have a new tornado warning here for northern Oakland County until 1:15 local time. That includes Waterford, Springfield, Groveland, Brandon, Oxford, M24, M15, Austin Corners, anybody near North Lapeer Road, Ortonville, included in this tornado warning, as well as Addison. This is just to the south of Genesee and also Lapeer counties. But anybody that is in a severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, best to get into those lower exterior rooms because we have several areas of embedded rotation that we are watching. Now, what we're likely seeing with this tornado warning is we have one area of rotation right here towards Davisburg, Austin Corners, towards Jasmine Acres, as well as Springfield, approaching Interstate 75, and another one that just moved out of the Holly area, Groveland, Ortonville, towards M15, Brandon, eventually getting over towards Waterstone and Oxford. You guys need to be in your tornado precautions right now. I'll put a track on this cell. You can see that rotation will go over the next 20 minutes. And that's going to put it into Groveland within the next minute or so. So Groveland getting to that lowest exterior room, Ortonville by 12:39, Brandon by 12:41, and Oxford by 12:50 local time. We also have some areas of very strong winds coming out of these cells, now moving through the rest of Genesee, eventually going to get into Lapeer County, which over the next half an hour, 45 minutes, that's where we'll see potentially some significant damage with these storms. Huron County, Ashley, you're likely going to see these storms closer to about 1:30. Flint is quieting down, Michael. Amelia, Saginaw, even though you are under that tornado warning still, the worst of the storm is now moving out of your area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lightning off of this storm. We probably all know that the lightning strikes are furious right now, but you can see that the worst of the storms now exiting Flint, moving towards Lapeer and Hadley, Deerfield as well, Millington, Denmark, now getting away from Saginaw. So if you're in Saginaw right now, these storms are now moving out. You will likely see those quiet, calm conditions returning. Lots of rain, lots of thunder and lightning, but the worst of the storms now moving away from Saginaw, moving away from Bay City right now. And as we go further to the north, Pinconning, you're seeing just some heavy rain, likely some gusty winds, but no really concern there from what I'm looking at on radar for any significant wind. Millington, I'm going to make sure that I get down into your area. You're going to eventually see the worst of this storm here within the next 5 minutes or so. So if you're in Millington, get into that shelter, preferably a basement, or that lowest exterior room. You're not under a tornado warning, but you are likely going to see some significant winds out of this storm. So what we have currently in our area, we've got no additional warnings here north of US 10. That's where the storms are starting to really wind themselves down. But we do have our tornado warning still in effect here for Bay County until 12:45, Saginaw County until 1 a.m. local time. But it is potentially going to be allowed to expire. You can see they just shaved it a little bit more. And then we have our tornado warning for northern Oakland County. That is until 1:15. For those of you in Lapeer and Tuscola, we have our severe thunderstorm warnings with a tornado possible tag, 60-mile-per-hour winds. That is until 1:30 local time. But as long as we still have tornado warnings, we are going to stay live here on air as well as on Facebook and YouTube, just so everyone continues to remain safe. We'll go back to our local radar. We'll pause it on the current look at these storms. Bay City, you're still under the worst of the storms right now, so I would not go to bed just yet, but potentially in about 15 minutes or now, you will be getting out of the worst of the storms. I've seen a lot of comments about Millington. So for those of you in Millington here, right along M15, you are about to see the worst of the storms. Potentially a couple brief spin-up tornadoes happening along this line, likely going to be the potential of damaging wind gusts right now. But Millington, M15, that storm is quickly approaching your area, so you will likely see the worst of the conditions here over the next 5 to 10 minutes, moving through, and then maybe within a half an hour or so, you'll be free and clear to not have any more concerns. We did just get a new tornado warning. That does not include Grand Blanc. I did see that comment. Does not include Grand Blanc. Does include Davison, as well as M15 here towards Atlas and Richfield along M15, but pretty much the entire Lapeer County area, Hadley towards Elmont along Interstate 69. We're seeing M24, Mayfield, Five Lakes, Deerfield, Burnside, North Branch, Goodland, Arcadia, as well as Imlay City down towards Dryden, Elmont, Metamora, Hadley, Kerr Hill, just to name a few counties, cities in this county, in Lapeer County. Flint, we are done with the worst of this storm. So if you live in Flint, if you live in Grand Blanc, if you live in Mount Morris, Flushing, you are in the clear. St. Charles, you are in the clear. Saginaw, you are in the clear. Fenton, you are in the clear. We are seeing the worst of the storm moving out of your area right now. I'll show you what it looks like on our radar system just to show you where the worst of the conditions are. But we do have a couple brief spin-up tornadoes possibly now moving into Lapeer County. Fenton, you are in the clear. Fowlerville, you are in the clear. Even though you are likely still seeing very heavy rain as well as some thunder and lightning, the worst of the storms have now moved out of Flint. Saginaw, you are out of the worst of it, including Fenton as well. But what we're more worried about, more concerned about, Frankenmuth, you're still seeing some pretty significant issues around you, but I would say within the next 5 to 10 minutes, that storm will be moving out and you'll start to get a little bit better in Frankenmuth. Flint, you're in the clear. But again, it's our newly issued tornado warning that I am most concerned with right now, because we do have an area of rotation. You can see towards Hill Road here in Genesee County. So if you live in Genesee County towards M15, that significant area of rotation is pretty much directly overhead towards Hadley. Hadley, if you are hearing me in Hadley right now in Lapeer County, make sure you are getting into your tornado shelters immediately, as well as Farmers Creek. Anybody south of Interstate 69 in Lapeer County, that includes the city of Lapeer, as well as Hunters Creek, Metamora, Thornville, along M24, Kerr Hill. You guys have some of those embedded areas of rotation in this line moving into your region right now, which is why we are under that tornado warning. So this is the area of spin that we are watching right now. We're going inbound, so towards the radar, outbound, away from the radar. And where I put that area of rotation, that is pretty much directly over Hill Road, eventually going to skip the county line into Lapeer. Holly is getting better. Clio, the sirens probably going off just to continue to alert you to the severe thunderstorm warning, but you're kind of moving away from that worst condition. And we did just get a tornado warning issued for Genesee County, so they may be going off of that. But the worst of the rotation is happening just off to the north of Atlas, as well as north of Goodrich right now. So if you live around Atlas, Goodrich, M15, hopefully you are in your tornado precautions, your tornado shelters right now, because we do have that newly issued tornado warning that we have a couple areas of rotation that we are concerned with. South of Davison right now, moving over towards the Hadley area. If you live in Hadley in Lapeer County, this is your warning to get into that lowest interior room, because you do have some of that embedded rotation that could potentially spin up a tornado very quickly, and that's why we have been issued a severe thunderstorm warning as well as a tornado warning. For those of you that are hearing sirens in Flint, it is likely because Genesee County was put under a tornado warning, even though Flint is not included in this tornado warning, as well as Clio, Mundy, Fenton. You're not in the tornado warning. The worst of the conditions have now moved off to the east. Because we have portions of Genesee County in that tornado warning, that's likely why you're hearing the sirens. That includes Flushing, Mount Morris, or Montrose, should I say, as well as Fenton. So just because what likely is occurring is everyone in Genesee County is seeing tornado warning, but only a sliver of Genesee County is actually in this tornado warning. So if you're hearing the sirens towards Fenton, Flint, including Flushing, Montrose, as well as Mount Morris, you're not included in this tornado warning, but because Genesee County is technically in a tornado warning, it's just a sliver of Genesee County over towards Davison, M15, Richfield. That's likely why you're hearing those sirens occurring right now. But our main concern is right here into Lapeer County, as well as northern Oakland for these tornado warnings. We also have that tornado warning until the top of the hour for northern Saginaw and including Bay County. But that likely is going to be allowed to expire, allowed to just kind of work its way over into our severe thunderstorm warning for those of you that are north of Lapeer here into Tuscola County. If you are just joining us right now and you are hearing the tornado sirens in Genesee County, the worst of the storm has now moved out of Genesee County, now moving into Lapeer County currently. We'll show you those areas of rotation that we are watching pretty closely, even here up into Sanilac and also Tuscola counties. We are seeing some areas of rotation right around the Vassar area, going to be moving closer towards M24, as well as Millington. Some areas of rotation into Millington, but likely just some stronger winds. We have this pocket of rotation, those winds going towards the radar right here in green, away from the radar in red, towards Oregon, Columbiaville, Marathon. We've got those areas of embedded rotation, so best to get into those tornado shelters, that tornado precaution as quickly as you can, as well as down here towards Hadley. Lapeer. If you live in Lapeer, best thing you can do is get yourself into that lowest interior room away from any walls or windows. You will likely need to get into a basement. If you don't have a basement, get into that lowest interior room just so you can stay safe. So if you are joining us right now, we are seeing some areas of rotation currently ongoing in northern Oakland County. You can see some of those areas of rotation right here outside of Orion and as well as outside of Oxford. So a couple areas of embedded rotation within these cells. And then as you go further to the north towards Hadley, Metamora, Hunters Creek, Farmers Creek, we've got several areas of rotation ongoing in these cells. So it's southern and central Lapeer that we are watching for these areas of rotation, now moving closer and closer towards Lapeer. If you're in Lapeer County, you live in Lapeer County, it's best to get into those tornado precautions, lowest interior room, as quickly as you can. I see a lot of comments about Bay City. I'm going to go over towards radar just to show you what is ongoing right now. Even though you still have a lot of thunder and lightning, the worst of the storms have now moved away from you. So you are pretty much getting into the clear in Bay City. I'm going to circle those that are in the clear right now from any of these severe thunderstorms. So that includes Flint, as well as down through Fenton, northern Livingston. This includes all of Shiawassee County, most of Saginaw County, all of Midland County, anybody along Interstate 75, or not Interstate 75, but US 127 over towards Gratiot, Clare, Isabella, and also Roscommon counties. Anybody that is north of US 10, we are in the clear. This includes Saginaw and Midland. You are all in the clear from these severe thunderstorm warnings. The warnings that we are most concerned with, if you live in the county of Sanilac, Huron, Tuscola, Lapeer, and also Oakland counties. If you live in any of those 5 counties, you are still under this threat for damaging winds and embedded tornadoes. If you live in Davison, you are now in the clear. Saginaw, you are now in the clear. And I'm trying to keep up with all of the comments in our Facebook page, so forgive me if I miss you guys as well. Ashley, for Deerfield Township, you are seeing some rotation, embedded rotation, so you should get into that lowest interior room as quickly as possible. Livingston County, you are in the clear. Millington, I'm going to go up towards Millington. Millington, you're going to getting past the worst of the storm, so you are getting into the clear as well. Flint, Shorts Creek in the clear. Burton is in the clear. Timothy, the rain's probably going to go on for another hour at least. Saginaw, you are in the clear. Livingston County, you are in the clear. Midland, you are in the clear. Clio, you are in the clear. Grand Blanc, you are also in the clear. Flint is in the clear. Kelly, the tornadoes that we're worried about are in Livingston, not Livingston, excuse my faux pas there. It is in Lapeer counties where we have that tornado warning. We are no longer in warnings if you live in Genesee County. So that includes Flint, Davison, Mundy Township, Fenton, Grand Blanc, Mount Morris, Flushing, as well as up into Saginaw County. No longer seeing warnings there. If you live Flushing, Grand Blanc, Linden, Frankenmuth, you are all in the clear right now. The worst of the storms now heading into northern Oakland, as well as most of Lapeer and most of Sanilac County. Tuscola County. Bay County, you are in the clear. Bay City, Bay County, you are in the clear. Goodrich, you are in the clear. Standish, you are also in the clear. If you are hearing sirens in Genesee County, just know those will probably shut off very soon. If you live in Tuscola, Sanilac, Huron, Lapeer, Oakland counties, you are not in the clear just yet. Ogama County, you are in the clear. Holly, you are in the clear. North Branch, you are not in the clear. So again, anybody in Lapeer County, anybody in Tuscola County, you are still under severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. The tornado warning is in effect until 1:30 local time for Lapeer County. And we're also seeing our severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 1:30 for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's the main threat, but there still could be some embedded rotation with these cells as well. So for those of you in Genesee County, I'm seeing a lot of comments about the tornado sirens going off again. Unsure why that is, because if you look at your screen, you're no longer in a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning. So you are in the clear in Genesee County. I know those sirens are going off right now. Don't want to scare anybody, but the worst of the storms are now away from you. Bay County, you are also not under any more severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings, as well as Livingston County. So if you're hearing sirens in Livingston, Genesee, Saginaw, or Bay County, unaware as to why those are going off, because you no longer are under any warnings right now. All right, folks, I just had to take a drink of water, but we are seeing a couple spin-up tornadoes potentially happening in this line right through Oxford, Orion, eventually over towards Campbell's Corner and Addison. So if you're in those tornado warnings in Oakland County, make sure you are seeking shelter. Clarkston, that includes you. Fowlerville, you're okay. You no longer are seeing any of these warnings. Durand, you are in the clear. Linden, you are in the clear. Felicia, these storms are moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So as quickly as they come in, they will be moving out. Ingham County, you are in the clear. So even though we are seeing and experiencing some of those storms in Genesee County, including Flint, it's not severe anymore. So I'll show you where the warnings are right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take off the tornado watch box because I don't want that to cause any confusion. But what we are seeing with these warnings, so anybody in orange and red, so if you are in the counties, and I'm going to list off the counties that are in the clear right now. So if you are in Roscommon, Ogama, Iosco, Aranac, Gladwin, Clare, Isabella, Midland, Bay, Saginaw, Gratiot, Shiawassee, Genesee, and Lapeer counties. If you are in any of those counties that I mentioned, you are in the clear. If you are in Oakland, Lapeer, Sanilac, Tuscola, and Huron counties, you are not in the clear. You still have warnings that we are watching very closely. Bay City, you are safe. You may be hearing sirens in Genesee, Bay, Saginaw, as well as Livingston, but you are okay. You are in the clear now. Sometimes those warnings, sometimes the sirens continue for the length of the warning, even though it has been allowed to expire. So that may be why they're still going off in Linden and in Flint. But I want to make sure those that are in Genesee County, in Saginaw County, Bay County, Livingston County, where we're still hearing the sirens, you are in the clear. It's Lapeer, Oakland, and Tuscola counties that we are still seeing those severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings. Our tornado warning in Oakland County, that is until 1:15 a.m. We have our tornado warning in Lapeer until 1:30. If you are under tornado warnings, get into that lowest interior room as quickly as possible, preferably a basement. If you don't have a basement, get to shelter, lowest interior room, get away from any of those exterior walls, away from any windows. This is heading towards Macomb County, yes. If you are in Lapeer County, get to shelter immediately. If you are in Oakland County, get to shelter immediately. We could potentially be seeing a tornado ongoing and in progress. I don't have any indication that this is on the ground or has been reported. But we are seeing several areas of rotation right around the Attica area. So we have inbound rotation. My apologies, it shows the wrong tool, but we have that rotation towards Attica, and we also have that outbound rotation. So this is a very significant area of rotation that's right along Interstate 69. If you're in Imlay City, this is the time you need to get into your tornado shelter. Get into that tornado precaution immediately. We also have some rotation near the Dryden area. If you live in Almont, if you live along M53 towards Imlay City, these areas of rotation are pretty significant, so you need to get into your tornado precautions, that lowest interior room, as quickly as you can. Make sure you bring something to cover your head in case of flying debris. For those in northern Oakland County, we're starting to see this leading edge of rotation now moving more so into St. Clair County. So within the next 10 to 15 minutes, Oakland County, you will be in the clear. At least in our area, we are talking about northern Oakland. I am not saying the same thing about down through central and southern Oakland counties, or even down into Wayne County, Washtenaw County. There are several warnings down there. But we are seeing some significant rotation. I'm going to keep my focus in on this area because this is pretty significant that we are seeing this rotation right now near the Attica area. I'm looking at another product just to see if there is any indication of potentially some damage being done by this storm. There may have been some brief damage. There may have been a brief touchdown of this tornado near Attica, right around Interstate 69. Imlay City, I can't say this enough. That is some significant rotation that is now approaching your area. So if you are in Imlay City, make sure you are in your tornado precautions right now, immediately. Lowest interior room, basement. That is going to keep you as safe as possible because this is the worst rotation we've seen so far today. So if you're in Imlay City, this is Lapeer County, Imlay City towards Imlay, north of Interstate 69. We have some significant rotation approaching the city. Make sure you're getting into that lowest interior room as quickly as you can. If you're right around the Dryden area, if you're in Almont, make sure you are also getting into that lowest interior room because we have some significant rotation approaching you as well. We've got two distinct cells that are rotating right now. We have one that is right around the Attica area and one that is just outside of Dryden. You can see those two areas of green and red. That is indicating that rotation on our velocity map. And that's giving us that reasoning to make sure that you are getting into your tornado shelters, your tornado precautions. Continuing to venture up further on off to the north. I'm not seeing anything significant here into Tuscola County, which is good. Not seeing any significant areas of rotation, so potentially just a damaging wind threat there. Maybe a few embedded areas of rotation right around Deerfield, North Branch, Rich, Burnside, Arcadia, but it's really these two down in southern Lapeer that I'm most concerned with. Attica towards Imlay City, we've got an area of rotation there, and then right around the Dryden area, we also have some rotation here. So if you're living in southern and central Lapeer County, get into that tornado precaution immediately. If you are in Genesee County, if you are in Livingston, Genesee, Shiawassee, Saginaw, as well as Bay, Midland, over towards Gratiot counties, you are in the clear. Deanna, Flint is okay, no longer under severe weather risk. So I know we are bouncing around to a lot of different areas, but it's really the thumb now that we are watching for the worst of the conditions that could possibly happen here tonight, or at least for the next hour to hour and a half. So rotation towards Attica. This is the one I'm most concerned with right now. And then a little bit weaker of a rotation, but still significant towards the Dryden area. Both of these in Lapeer County. What I'm going to do is zoom in. M53, if you live towards Imlay City, Imlay, you're getting a little bit too late to get into those tornado precautions. So Imlay City,